How's everybody doing this evening?
Good evening. I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's so much nicer now that it's light out later. You don't realize it until it happens. And then you're like, I have energy. I don't just want to sit on the couch immediately upon getting the kids in bed. Like, I've got to clean a closet. So,
Uh,
It's
I
amazing how
envy that
much
feeling.
we are.
We
Yeah,
uh we've been sick.
amazing.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Robin.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say it's amazing how much we are truly creatures of the season. We
Uh,
can't escape that.
yeah, we've been sick at our house. So one kid is not sick, and he's been at grandma's house since Friday, I guess. And me and the girls have just been hanging out on the couch, and
oh, not a way you want to spend your spring break.
no, I feel like I'm finally at the end of it, but the baby's in the fever and really unhappy stage, so I don't get to do anything anyway because I have to be attached to her.
Hopefully, everybody heals up soon.
Yeah.
And also, it's very nice to see our new members again. So, welcome, Edie, for your first meeting, and Alyssa for your second.
Hello, hello.
All
Hi,
right.
y'all. I'm excited to be here again.
So Miriam she should be signing on and she will facilitate our meeting tonight. Yeah, we'll figure it all out. Actually, while we have time, Robin, is there a day or time
Hmm.
this week that works for you or next week?
Yeah, thank you for that. Sorry I missed answering to those emails in a timely manner. But
Life's
yes,
crazy.
so next week would be better. This week's a short week, so yeah, anytime next week. My schedule is fairly open, except for very on Monday morning. Other than that, it's pretty open.
Would you want to give it a go on Tuesday at either 9 or 10?
Yes, let's do that.
You want to meet at
Either
Margin?
one. Sure.
All right, I'll send it to you.
Good. Sounds good. Thank you for that. I'm
No.
starting to switch over my whole, you know, task and calendaring system. I've been in Google my whole, for a long time, and I am still in Google, but I'm trying to use all their latest tools to organize my life. So we'll see.
Oh,
They
sorry,
have
they're screaming in the
tasks,
back.
calendar, they've got all this stuff.
All right, well, hopefully it went through. So, yay. Hi, Miriam. Hi, Allison.
Oh.
And hi, Shayla. Let us know if you want to say anything during business from the public or if you're just listening in.
All right. Do we have quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think we do. Yay. Okay, it's been a long day. Sorry, I'm like, oh, I gotta be have quorum. All right. Let me pull this up so I can have it open. Okay, are we ready? Are we recording? Perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone, on this beautiful Tuesday, March 26, 2024. It is 6:01, and this is our HRC meeting for the month of March. So we will call to order. Gina, do you say your names and then we just say here?
I'll say the names and then you guys can say here.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so Alyssa,
Here, sorry.
no problem. Allison,
Here.
Robin,
Present.
Jamie,
Present.
Miriam,
Right here.
Greg, I don't see him.
Mm-mm.
And then Edie.
Present.
Is that everyone? Oh, okay. Ah, perfect. I was like, wait, is that everybody? Perfect. And so the next items on our agenda is selecting or electing our new officers. Now that we have a full HRC, right? We can finally now elect our chair and vice chair. Right now, I'm acting as chair because I was vice chair last year. And so if anybody wants to volunteer, I'm not set on being either. I'm more than happy to pass that forward. So please, so I think let me pull up the script here that I have. I had it open, so I just want to make sure I mentioned that. Like, I'm not stuck on being this. Okay, if you want it, it's all yours. It's all yours. Okay, so I guess we'll start with the election process for chair. Kim and Gina, is that good? Starting with the chair? Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna read what the script says. It says, "It is now time to elect the chair and vice chair of HRC, the Human Rights Commission, for 2024. Let's open nominations. Are there any nominations for the position of chair?"
I have a nomination.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Ellison Dean as the chair.
Okay.
I
Does
accept the
the-
nomination.
I was gonna say you accept, Allison?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right.
Do we need a second?
I was gonna say, are there? Okay, I should. Are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none. The nominations are now closed. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm reading the script. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I follow everything to the T. Since there was only one nomination for the position of chair, we will now vote to elect Allison Dean as our 2024 chair. All those in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, yes.
Mhm.
All those opposed say no. All right, hearing none. All right. Member Allison Dean has been elected chair. Congratulations, Allison. That floor is yours. Woo-hoo.
Oh, now I get to go with the script. I don't know if I got the script, Gina.
Oh, uh,
I wasn't thinking about that.
That's okay.
all right. Can I put it in the chat, or can you email it to her real quick?
Let me email it real quick. Would you
Sure.
like that, Allison?
That's fine. Yeah, email's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I was like, I was trying to speed up the process. I'm like, I have it open. I could share my screen. If you want.
This is exciting basic democracy in action.
Yeah.
right here.
Right here. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. I feel like we need elevator music.
Just let me know when you've sent it, Gina.
Okay.
So while we wait, could we meet our new HRC members, commissioners? Because I would love to meet you. I'm like, please, since we're waiting.
Allison, the way I'm sending it, your email isn't coming up. What's your email address?
It's just
Wow, you were lucky to get that.
early adopter. Yep. Although there's somebody else who has the exact same spelling, which is kind of rare. And she is an early childhood researcher that people
Oh.
are always emailing. I'm like, wrong person.
Everywhere I have worked, there have been at least 3 or 4 other Jamie Joneses. It causes so many problems.
I send it to you, Allison. I found you. I also
Oh, thank you. For some
Yeah.
reason, it's not working.
Yeah, no, I found it in one of the emails that we received. And so I just went on that and it's your name, right, Allison Dot? So it's your name.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks, Miriam. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Kitty, stop.
Oh, I
All right, are we ready here?
love it.
It is now time to elect a vice chair of the Human Relations Commission for 2024. Let's open nominations. Are there any nominations for the position of vice chair?
Kitty cat.
Robin?
I'm happy to do it.
I was going to say, I nominate Robin.
And it sounded like your cat nominated you too.
I was gonna
so.
say the cat gave you out, Robin.
He's not much of a, he does attend every meeting, so.
Are there any more nominations? Excuse me. Are there any more nominations for vice chair? Oh, sorry, Robin, do you accept the nomination?
Oh, I do accept, yes, sure.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
No. The cat.
Since there was only one nomination for the position of vice chair, we will now vote to elect Robin Davis as the 2024 vice chair. All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed say no. Robin Davis has been elected vice chair. Congratulations.
Woo woo.
Excellent. And so now I guess I'm moving forward here with moving our agenda along. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
You have the gavel.
Ooh, I need something official. I've got a ballpoint pen right now.
There you go.
Okay, so with that, we are going to move to the approval of the February 27th minutes. Could I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the February 27, 2024 minutes.
All right, thank you, Miriam. Is there someone who would second that?
I will second that.
Excellent. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting? Any opposed? All right, we will move on. Thank you. So one of the things that we have talked about, and for new members, we kind of changed some of our time and meeting frequency and format over the years. And so currently we meet the last Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock on Zoom. And we wanted to open it for discussion if there are any folks who want to propose a different meeting time, format, frequency.
So I get to ask questions because I know nothing.
Go for
And
it.
my first question is, are we on Zoom because it's a leftover from when we had to be? Is this something that works well for us? Because being the new person, I would love to see all the faces and go, hi, it's you. And because that's the way that I build relationships, but that doesn't mean that that's exactly the way that it works for everybody else. So that's my first thought, first preference. And there's what I gotta say.
Could I know I mentioned this while we were waiting. Could we meet the new commissioners so that way we can have an idea of who else is here? That way we know which zone and whatnot.
Yeah, let's do it. Miriam, you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone. Miriam Cummins. I am representing Zone 3, one of the ones representing Zone 3. I have lived in Albany since 2011. Shoot, I can't do math. Yeah. Anyway, that's a long time for me. And I have two little ones that go to gaps, and I'm a single parent. So right now for me, I'm just gonna say Zoom works for me just because my kids are home for spring break. And they just had dinner, so for me, it's like usually that's why I like the Zoom, but I wouldn't mind being in person either. So I'll pass it over to whoever wants to go next.
I'll go. My name is Robin Davis. This is my second term, about 3+ years now on the commission. I am a business owner, self-employed, and a writer. And yeah, I represent Zone 1, our Ward 1, appointed by the mayor.
I can go next. My name is Alyssa Neidegger. I am representing Ward 1. This is my second meeting. And I actually recently just got a new job, but my background is in distribution and supply chain management.
My name is Jamie Jones. I'm also Ward 1. I have 3 little kids. 2 of them are in school, and one is crying at the back door, which is why I'm outside. I don't know what else are we saying. Yeah.
How long you've been on the commission?
Oh, a year and a half. I don't really know.
Like we lose track. I'm like, I don't know. We rely on Gina and Kim to tell us how long we've been on here. I don't know.
Online it says it's my first term, but I don't know if that's been updated.
My name is Allison Dean. I work as an instructional designer for a tech company. I've lived in Albany since 2021, but lived in Corvallis for 12 years prior to that. I have been on the commission. This is my first term, so I've been on the commission for a little over a year. I am, I'll say, bonus mom to two young women, one of whom is a student at GAPS as well. Yeah, Hedy, do you want to introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I have lived in Albany since 2001. So I've been here for quite a while, live in downtown, down by the hospital, work in Tangent. So I drive a little bit out of the way there. My history and background is in customer service, human resources, hotel, restaurant management, all of those kinds of extra things. So working with all the people in all the world, in all the places, in all the way seems to be something that works really grand with me. So that's where I have been all of my life, and that's how I got to here.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we all got a chance to kind of introduce ourselves. It's great to finally have a full commission. So let's return to that conversation, though, about meeting time, because it is something I want us to be able to talk about, like what folks' needs are. And if there's a way, if there are some competing priorities, if there's a way for us to find a place in the middle. So let's maybe start at the meeting time, 6 o'clock. Anyone have any issues with this occurring at 6 o'clock? I'm seeing a lot of head shakes no. All right, so we'll keep going on and talk about let's go to the frequency, and then we'll come back to format. So once a month on Tuesdays, does that work for folks?
Yeah, I think we end up taking maybe the month of December off if we can keep every other month, every other meeting, sort of thing. That would be cool. But other than that, I think monthly is important.
I think last year, and sorry, Kim, I see you. I think last year we took off November and December because of the holiday. So I think that seems to work to do it every month except for those 2 months.
I think it kind of depends on how the Thanksgiving holiday falls, because it doesn't always fall on that final week.
And that's definitely something we can even decide as we get closer, to that point of the year. I do know pretty much since I've been here, every November meeting that we've tried to hold has either been canceled due to quorum or proactively. So those were just the 2 months that I wanted to circle back on.
Okay. And lastly, format. So Heidi, I heard you say that you'd like to meet in person. Miriam, I heard you say that Zoom works well for you for childcare reasons. Any other thoughts people want to throw out there?
Personally, I'd like to maybe consider at least one in-person meeting a year. This year, maybe perhaps that way we could accomplish some of what Edie was talking about, but also give the opportunity for the public to show up to something if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that would work for everyone, or what part of the year that might work better than others, but that's my thought there.
Kim,
Go ahead, Kim.
One thing we have discussed in the past is hybrid meetings, that is something that we are able to do. So if this group is interested in moving that way, we can certainly do that. Where we've had some issue in the past is that we asked for folks to let us know if they were going to be there in person, as it involves us keeping security around and just doing some other logistics. And so we were not successful in no, that's wrong. We were successful in continuing to meet, but the in-person element ended up kind of falling by the wayside, as we typically never had anybody interested in meeting in person. So I just want to throw that out there, as we have new bodies on this group. So if you're interested in looking at the hybrid format, we would just ask that we would know the week before if you're going to be there in person, so that we can make appropriate arrangements.
That's good to know, Kim. And also, I think, and I don't know, Jamie, if this is also for you, but like as a mom, like childcare is very important. So if we are going to be able to do something, I would love to meet once a year at least in person. I think that's a very good idea. My only thing I would add is if childcare could be provided. One, childcare not just for us, but for the public too, for parents that maybe want to attend. So I just want to throw that out there just because it would make it easier. And also because it's 6 o'clock, it's dinner time, providing some type of snack or food. I know I had to cook dinner right away, right before this. So for my kids. And so that's the only thing I'm throwing out there is if we do that, how can we make it accessible for not only ourselves, but for the public and so they can also be able to attend. So those are some of the questions that I have, if it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like the option of hybrid. There are some days when I'd love to get away from the mess in my house. But there's also my husband travels for work quite regularly, and 7:15 is getting ready for bed in our house. So having the hybrid availability would be nice. And maybe do every other month so that we could have people in person every other month if they wanted to.
Yeah, I also like the idea of hybrid. My work schedule rotates. And so there will be times that I will be able to attend because it's my day off, but other times I'll have to attend on like allotted time at work. So it'll give me an opportunity to still attend, even if I'm not going to be able to be there in person.
Can I ask another question just on the people being able to attend front? When my kids were little, they got to come with me to lots of things and they got to do lots of things. Is our group something that would be okay with? I mean, hey, we're in the public forum, we're having the things. Kids are in the back, kids are in the corner, kids are in the wherever. Maybe that also would help us establish a system where we're having a consistent spot for people from the public, because I would think going, is it this week or is it 3 weeks from now that we have the in-person meeting? I could see that might get more difficult to try to figure out, whereas if we have a one thing, it's either this or it's that, then people get used to, well, I'm just gonna zoom in or I'm gonna actually drive down and be. So I guess that's multiple questions. The first being, are we receptive to whoever wants to come? Could come, and they could be little kiddos.
I think my question will go to funding. What kind of resources do we have to be able to provide that type of childcare, daycare, food, and I'm hearing Kim say we don't have none.
We don't
So
have
I would
any.
be, that's where I feel like it would be a challenge, especially for the community as well. Like I said, a lot of parents rely during that time to feed their children. And so I'm just thinking of ways. I mean, could we even reach out to organizations that maybe that could help in providing resources, food, maybe the food bank or something, right? Like, I'm just trying to think outside the box here and what we can do to be able to provide this type of accessibility to everyone, that they can attend. Because to me, that is a barrier. Like, I have a child with special needs. I have to be prepared beforehand to, if my child is coming with me to the meeting, there has to be some elements in place. And I know I'm not the only parent with special needs child. So those are the type of questions that I have. How can we be accessible, right? If we're an HRC, let's do what we need to do, right, to create that level of accessibility to our community.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like maybe doing the hybrid meetings is the way that we need to go, because then we're making it work for the people that are like, hey, I need to know the place because that's how I get to places. And we're making it work for, I can be there for the hour, but I have to be able to, sort of close the screen for a minute and go away. So maybe hybrid is the direction we need to lean.
Yeah, I think hybrid is a good direction. What I felt like I heard from some folks is not wanting to do hybrid every time. And so I think that we need to, Heidi, I'm thinking about your comment about the confusion that people might have. So if and Kim, I'm hearing your comment about security, like needing to have security. Miriam, you and Jamie talking about like, what do we do in terms of childcare? So I think hybrid is a way to attend to that, at least initially, attend to some of the childcare concerns, the desires for folks to gather in public, while still accommodating people who aren't able to make it, for various reasons. I think that what we need to be mindful of is if we don't have people showing up after like we set a limit that if the first 2 meetings we try to go hybrid, nobody's showing up in person, or there's, there are 2 or fewer people showing up in person, that then we reconsider whether or not that's a good use of the city resources and security to be able to continue doing that. So I'm wondering, Kim, if we can call on your survey prowess.
Woo, woohoo.
And I can work with you on that, to send out kind of a preferences, getting people to do a little rank order and and then next meeting we'll meet on Zoom
Okay.
and we'll deliver those. So that will require everyone to check your email and make sure that you respond in advance of the April meeting.
I can certainly do that.
Sounds great.
And like I said, Kim, I'll work with you on that, on setting that up.
Totally good. Thank you. I
Yeah.
giggle as I realize that one of my updates is regarding scheduling today. So, so scheduling extraordinaire, kind of. All right, negative.
All right. Well, next on our agenda is a land acknowledgement recommendation to City Council. On Robin, I believe that you will have updates for us on that.
Well, you'd think I'd have updates, but actually, Kim and I, as the subcommittee on it, hadn't met, but she might have something because she was doing some stuff on her end. And we do plan now to meet next week on that.
Sure. I just wanted to I apologize, as you probably hear conversations going on in the background. I've reached out to the Tribes of the Grand Ronde, their council, 2 times and haven't heard anything back, but I'm going to continue to follow up. And I actually have an individual contact now, which is great. But if anybody has any personal connection with the tribe, or would be able to give a soft, warm handoff, let me know. And if not, we'll continue to use the avenues that we've got and make friends. So hopefully next month we'll be able to include in our agenda packet some possible draft language, and then it'll be up for a conversation for us to determine what we actually want to do with that with council and what our possible expectation for them would be.
Great.
Excellent.
Gina, can I clarify just in terms of people submitting things for the agenda? Do they have to go through the chair, or can they contact you directly to get those things on the agenda?
Normally it's run through the chair so that, because since you're running the meeting, I mean, I just do the agenda from what was discussed at the last meeting. I just, continue things that need to be continued, and then if you have things that you specifically want to talk about, Allison, you can let me know. And then I think it's appropriate if others have something specific, they can contact you. But things can always be brought up during business from the commission.
Sure. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that since we have some new members, and I know that that's something that I've asked you individually, Gina, before. So just wanted to make sure that folks understood what the process was there. Moving on to the HRC name change recommendation. So Robin and Kim.
I apologize, Robin. If you want to go first, I'll come in later.
No, go keep talking, Allison, because I'm not sure what you were going to say.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that Robin and I met, and Robin took a first pass at a draft to City Council about this. And we said in our last meeting that we would do a vote between the two names that we had talked about. And let me pull up those names. My computer's being a bit slow. So I want to start us out with moving on a vote for those two names. And Robin, do you have, it's not in the meeting notes from last time.
Yeah, let me look here.
You have your document.
I do, I think. Sorry, hold on. Okay. I don't know, maybe Kim, you want to say your piece before? Here, I do have it, yes. So should I read the memo?
Let's start first with those names. And then I think we might want to give people a minute to read that individually. I know for
Yeah.
me, I'm somebody who's very visual and needs to be able to see it. So let's start with those two names, because we said for this meeting we would vote on what they would choose.
Right. Thanks for keeping us on that task. Yeah, so the two names we came up with were Human Rights Commission and the Equity and Inclusion Commission.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I want to open up, before we do any voting, open up any conversation. Those were names that we had talked about, at least in one other, I think a couple other meetings. So the Human Rights Commission or the Equity and Inclusion Commission, to better speak to some of the work that we're trying to do. So opening the floor for discussion about those names.
What was the second one? Equity. Sorry, I was trying to write it down and my pen didn't work. So it was Equity
And Inclusion.
Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Counselor McGee had some ideas about the name. And I just look back, it's not in the notes from last time. Does anyone remember what they were concerned about using the diversity, equity, and inclusion because of the divisiveness that it brings among the political differences, and how that some groups are losing funding because of that?
Yeah, so I know
Give us
she
the-
was mentioning, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I know she was mentioning that those terms are being weaponized and creating like this polarization between groups, when in reality, what we want to do is help people. And I recognize what she was saying. And so, I mean, I feel more strongly towards the Human Rights Commission, just for that reason. I want to go out there and say, you know, like, we're for diversity, we're for equity, we're for inclusion. But because all of that has been so politicized lately, which is essentially what Councillor McGee was saying, I do think that it's kind of it doesn't help us as much as I would like to think it would. You know, it seems innocuous and it seems like it's for the greater good, but with the current environment, that may not be the direction that we want to head.
I recall her explicitly naming the word diversity. That was kind of the specific word that was kind of hot button. I think in some of the conversation that Robin and I had as we were talking about this memo was about human rights maybe not aptly speaking to the charge of this commission. It's really pretty broad, and we're not in the we don't have that power to enforce one's rights. I don't know, that those are just some of the things that we talked about. Robin, if I'm mispresenting what we discussed, please.
Oh, I think that's accurate, to which the subcommittee discussed. And I do hear Councilor McGee's concerns, and I recognize those. And but I also want to say that the places where we're seeing those words most weaponized are not in Oregon. They're in places like Alabama, and not to say that we are one country, one people, but this is more of a local issue. And I think this is our local democracy, our city council. And I think, she did recall, if I recall correctly, just like you did, the diversity was the biggest word in that three that she didn't feel was perhaps was more inflammatory. Again, I have real trouble even saying that, but I do recognize that she said that. and I certainly, you know, respect and admire her for coming in and presenting that to us. So, but yeah, so yeah, I think that's accurate.
So I guess my question would be, do we want to even change the name then with that information that is coming forward? Does the word relations then sit to what we do?
That was gonna sort of be my next question was since since I'm new to all of the things, what prompted the need for a name change? And what's the source of what we're doing so I can better gauge where we're going?
Great question. So as far as being one of the folks that has been on this commission the longest, and going back to the early stages when we discussed is when the commission came back into being after having a bit of a hiatus there for a while, is we were trying to more accurately portray the role that this commission could serve in the community. And human relations is such a broad term. It could mean for any, and we also don't have we don't have budget. We can't create city events. We can't create city signage or communication relating to human relations or those sorts of things. So what we end up being is this commission that tries to do some things in the event standpoint and other things, but looks at particular issues and particular opportunities to you know, move the city forward in the areas of rights and inclusion and diversity, because we are increasingly a diverse and a city where people need to be included in everything. You know, all people need to be included, groups, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that. Anyone else?
Yeah, part of it, the former chair had brought it forward with this idea that there might be more of a possibility for seeking funding, external funding. In the way that I think about it, you know, the charge of this commission really is to advance equity and advance inclusion of particularly those communities that have been left out of the civic process here. And so I do think that that speaks to equity and inclusion. You know, to echo Robin's comment that human relations is really, really quite broad and could be interpreted in maybe some very bizarre ways that aren't really aligned with what the charge of the commission is. So that is, that's kind of from where this conversation stemmed. So I'm inclined for us to hold a vote where we are voting on human rights, equity and inclusion, and keeping it, because I'm hearing some folks say, I don't understand why we're changing this. So hopefully people have you know, availed themselves to the charge of this commission. If you are serving on it, I'm hoping that people have read about what this commission is charged to do. So with that, I'd like to propose that we vote on one of these three names. And Gina and Kim, you're able to just keep us accountable for counting the votes. Okay. Do I need to make a motion to vote, that we vote? No. Okay. I don't know, Kim, you're giving me a face like perhaps.
Actually, I don't know. I said no, but
I don't
Let's
think.
just do the motion anyway.
Okay.
all right,
Like,
never hurts.
I motion that we vote on the naming system of our commission, or the name for our commission going forward, being one of three options. Number one, Human Rights Commission. Number two, Equity and Inclusion Commission, and number 3, remaining with the name Human Relations Commission.
Does anyone second that? Can I second that? Okay, so I think to be easiest, as long as everyone is able to see what is on the screen, that we just hold up the number. So number 1 being human rights, number 2 being equity and inclusion, and number 3 being that we remain the same. So with that, let's go ahead and hold up the number with our hands of the vote that we're trying to cast.
Could you restate the numbers one more time?
Of course. Number 1 will be the Human Rights Commission. Number 2 will be the Equity and Inclusion Commission. And number 3 is remaining the Human Relations Commission.
Thank you.
Before we vote, any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and vote. Oh, we have got a tie, it looks like. Did you get that?
Do it one more time.
Yeah, put them back up.
Okay. All right, so we are in a tie, which is exactly why we need the people who are not at the meeting today to to weigh in on this. So as much as I don't love to say this, I feel like we're gonna have to table it yet again, unless we are able to solicit the feedback from the people who are not able to make it today. I don't know if Gina or Kim were able to do that if they are not present.
We've held votes through email before. You just can't have discussion over email. So if I ask Greg, gave him the 3 choices and asked him what he wanted, I think he can respond through email to me, as long as you guys aren't discussing it back and forth.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
What is the current count? What are the 2 options that are tied?
So we have 3 for number 2 and 3 for number 3.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Right, Kim? Is that what you got? Okay.
Gina, are you able to send an email individually to Greg between these 2 options? Let's not throw it. I don't know if we
Oh,
have to
right,
offer
right.
the 3rd to him.
Right.
That would be just
I'll
beautiful.
just send in the 2 options.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do we
Once
have
we
time for a
know,
discussion about the voting? Can we discuss?
Sure.
Okay. I think for me, I was conflicted, to be honest with you, between choosing the equity and inclusion and just remaining the same. The reason why is because I feel like the community in Albany already know us as HRC, and sometimes changing it could create more conflict. And then I do understand and hear about the words equity and inclusion, how those can be divisive. And believe me, if you know me, you know I'm for equity and inclusion and diversity and accessibility. Okay. And so for me, knowing the political climate that we are in, I don't want to create that division. Because I do want the community to be able to come to us when issues do arise. And I feel like I did send an email earlier this month to Gina and Kim about an issue that occurred that I'll mention during the business. And my question is, how can we make those type of things come up so the public can be easier for us to address these issues? And I feel that sometimes if we do add that equity and inclusion, it might bring confusion. But when we have the relations, we are here to build bridges. We are here to bring forth that community. And so that's why I'm like, well, at this point, I think it's best to remain the same, just because people are already confused on what we do, and I don't want to add more to that confusion. And that's my take. I don't know. That's why I wanted to make room for discussion after it, just to see what people, what you all are thinking.
Yeah, I had a hard time between the two, and really um I think a different name might still be a better option, something that we haven't come up with yet. And I know that that's frustrating because this is like a year-long process. But I just sitting here was thinking, like, what if it was just, the Commission of the People or something super general like that, because that is what we're doing. So I kind of feel like we need to keep working on what that name sounds like.
I think that's fair, Jamie, and I will just say this. This was something that was brought up by somebody who was previously on the commission, is no longer. If we don't feel as a commission that this is something worth spending our time on, we can just move forward.
I do agree. And one of the reasons that we had decided that we needed to change the name was because a lot of times people hear Human Relations Commission and they think, oh, like you're the city's HR, or, no one really understands what that is. So I do think that a name change is something we should keep working towards. I just don't think that we've gotten the right name yet.
I think, if I may give my post-vote comment there, I think if you look at our charter, the charter as approved by the city council, we'll forget what year that was, Kim or Gina, but it was.
Is it 2017?
Oh, it's been updated.
2017.
Okay.
2020 or
20,
2021
it's
is
been
when
updated. Yeah, and we fought to have that language included about underserved communities, and I don't remember the exact terms of but it's almost as if there were elements that did not want it to be specific at all. So I would very much speak in favor of not making it more general, but making it more specific, and then going back to the specificity. Thank you. Of the charter that we have approved through the city council and are running on, because that charter in itself is perhaps more indicative of what we should be doing than just the name itself. I think what we're trying to do, and I think what the previous chair's effort was trying to do as well, was to align the name of the group with that already approved charter. So
this might be a silly question, but is there a easy place to access the charter? I tried looking for it. Sorry, what was that?
That's not a silly question. It's a good question.
Okay. Would it be possible to have that sent out to us as well? And especially since we do have some, like we have some new council or commission people, and it might be good to have some new eyes on what exactly that language looks like so that we can maybe reassess it as this new group.
Go ahead, Kim.
You okay if I screen share really quick?
Yeah.
All right. Can folks see it? All right. And we can send this out, but the Human Relations Commission was established to foster a city that is stable, safe, and just. The commission was established to strengthen and celebrate every resident of Albany by being committed to the philosophy of acceptance, inclusion, equal opportunity, accessibility, dignity, and fair treatment for all. The HRC advises the City Council and the City Manager. When making recommendations, the HRC strives for actions that lead to positive and respectful relations, committing to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the city, recommends and promotes activities, programs, ordinances, expenditures, and other appropriate governmental activities that will serve to maintain respectful interactions within Albany, works to ensure that historically marginalized and underrepresented people and communities in Albany have equal access to city programs and services, and that have representation in city decision making. Additionally, to address concerns and complaints about discrimination through education and available community resources.
Thanks, Kim. Because I want to be mindful of some of the business that we still want to address, Miriam, I know you have something that you want to introduce, and I do think that there are a couple things we need to really talk about in terms of some business from our members. I'm gonna move to table the vote, to table changing the name. We can have more of these discussions. We can generate some more names, but right now it seems like there's a lot of like ambivalence. So I move to table the name change for now. Anyone second that?
I second.
Okay.
To be clarified, you're suggesting tabling it till the next meeting?
Yeah, let's table it till the next meeting. I recommend
Okay.
that everyone, if you have some other ideas, if there are names, if these two names do not resonate with you, to come to the next meeting with some proposals for some other names.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. All right. On to the annual report. Yeah.
All right, I can take this one. So we talked about this a little bit last time as the
1 second.
Oh,
So
go ahead.
sorry, Jim. But so Allison made the motion, Jamie seconded. Was everybody in favor?
Oh, thank you. All in favor with tabling this, say aye. I think that was a unanimous aye, Gina, but
Okay.
okay.
All right, annual report. Annual report is in a little bit of flux as it's kind of taken on a couple different forms over the years. And we talked about last time how it would be really great if we potentially had a joint meeting with the city council. And so I have worked with city manager's office, and I have 2 dates that I would like to throw out that are possibilities, and that potentially once we have one of these dates set, we can start working towards what the content of that meeting will look like. It'll be a brief annual report, doesn't necessarily have to take the shape that it has in the years past. Talk a little bit more about potentially if a name change is there, and then talk about goal setting and have a really interactive conversation with the council as the group has evolved, our council has evolved, and maybe they'll have some insights to point you in direct, tangible, these are the things that we need you to do. So the 2 work session dates would be June 10th and June 24th. And the work session would start at 4 o'clock and is typically over by 6.
I could commit to attending one of those or both of those, probably one of those.
Yeah. Either of those works on my end. I mean, I would say that what would be ideal is that it isn't, I would advocate for the 10th so that there's a little bit of wiggle room before our meeting on the 25th, if possible.
The 10th would be easier for me.
Okay.
Yeah, the 10th would work better for me too.
I'm going to be at a work conference during that time on the 10th.
And we have hybrid options. That is one that works really well. So if you're able to attend, if the group still wants to move forward or on the 10th, there is a Zoom link that, depending on where you are and what's going on in your schedule, you may or may not have the
I'm gonna
opportunity.
be 3 hours time difference. I'm gonna be in Michigan during that week.
Well,
it sounds like the majority at this point is leaning towards the 10th. Okay, so I'll take that back and work to see if we can get that set up. It's possible that it could be a portion of the HRC meeting, a portion of the work session, or we might just put a cap at the work session at 45 minutes to an hour, take a quick break, and then reconvene back at 5 o'clock. So I will relay that message and see what we can do. And then working with you, Allison, maybe before our next meeting, you and I can kind of work up what maybe a rough agenda would look like that we would like to propose. And then we can bring this back to the group in April.
Excellent. Thanks, Kim.
No problem.
All right. Moving on to event debriefs and potential event involvement. Does anyone have any updates?
Is it? Oh, here we go. I'm like, sorry. I was like, this is. Hold on. Let me move up here. All right. This is business from the members, right? From or just making sure.
If we don't have any event debriefs or potential event involvement, I think we can move on to business from the members. The one upcoming event that we talked about was the LBCC Unity Celebration. That is, as far as I know, I think Counselor McGee told us it was
April 4th, I believe.
Okay, so very soon. I don't know if anyone has the ability to represent the HRC at that event.
I have it on my schedule, tentative. It still looks possible that I could do it.
Is it a free event or is it a paid event?
It is free, yeah. And I will see if I can find out if there's any kind of flyer or anything. I'll write that down to be able to get it out to folks. If somebody is able to go and represent, Kim, you said we do have a banner, is that right?
Yep, we have a table runner as well as some other materials that we were able to provide.
I'm not
April
sure.
4th at 6 p.m.
Okay. I'm not sure if, because that's next week, I'm not sure if it would be too late in the game to get a table if somebody is able to do that. So at this point, I'd say it's probably best for us to go. If you can meet people, let people know that you're there on behalf of the HRC, avail people to the information about the HRC. All right, business from members.
I wanted one more event
Oh
note.
yeah.
In the past, we had talked about setting up at the farmers market, and then we don't know that we ever pulled it off.
We had I don't know, we have before. Yeah.
Maybe it was just the ones that I was going to go to. Didn't end up happening. But I would like to do that again this year, and I know farmers market starts in April, so I think we should think about that.
Yeah. If there's so the 13th, 4/13 is oh, it's showing 4/6 is the first one. I didn't think that it started until a little bit later.
I might have that wrong.
Okay.
And then Kim, do we get a table, or I feel like Stephanie maybe paid for a table there.
So the confines of the actual farmers market is pretty strict as to items that can be sold. And so on 4th Street, not in the farmers market area, but right on the other side of the cones, sometimes other vendors will set up. And so that's where this group set up a table and a canopy and, had interactive conversations. So it's something that we'll need to let the farmers market know that that's going to happen, just to be good neighbors. But there is no fee as we are on general city property.
Maybe we send out a. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
I was going to say, last time we had the table, the covering, and a little whiteboard that people got to write ideas on that they would like, a dry erase board that to write ideas that they'd like the HRC to address. We got a few.
So online, it just says runs April through November.
I think
Maybe that could be another poll, like who can come on which days.
yeah, we can definitely do that. I do think, Gina, that just because I know somebody who sells at the Corvallis Farmers Market and they start on the same weekend. I think it is April 20th is the first outdoor market. So yeah, I think that would be great to be able to say, to have folks, you know, sign up if there's a date where you can table. If we can aim for one each month, I think that's good representation.
And I think with that, it would be a great idea between now and our next meeting to think about what type of interactions we would want to be tabling about, because we'll be able to have information about what the HRC does, but if there's any other specific, you know, information we're trying to promote or engage in, I think that would be good for us to have an activity that each time we table, we have something to bring people in.
Yeah, absolutely. We good to move on to business from members? All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I received an email at the beginning of the month from someone from the community stating that they experienced some um racist remarks when they went to the store. And so I wasn't able to meet with her. Our schedules just didn't align. But she did say she went and talked to one of the lieutenants, I think, or one of the commissioner, I think, earlier this month. And so I just wanted to bring that forth because it got to my mailbox, to my inbox, and I wanted to make sure you all knew of this incident because Mayor Johnson did send it to me as a follow-up. And so I guess what I propose or what I would suggest is, how do we want to bring these matters forward as they show up within the community, especially right now with the political climate, everything happening. Tensions are high right now, especially considering what's happening in the world. How do we bring forth these types of concerns from the community when it comes to their own self safety and how they feel about just being within the community, and then getting these types of racial remarks from little kids whose parents are okay with them acting this way? And so that's what I want to maybe have a discussion about, how we want to move forward with this.
If I can add, Miriam, because there's another pretty horrible thing that happened as well from constituents in Ward 3, which you and I are both representing, that there is a young Black boy in Ward 3 who was routinely called the N-word on a local playground, and was also, you know, kind of being physically bullied as well. And so these are two incidents that recently happened, both race, you know, race-based incidents. And so I appreciate you bringing that. I wanted to add that to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought, I mean, I grew up in the coast in Coos Bay, so I heard all kinds of racial remarks towards me, even when I would speak Spanish with my family. Believe me, I heard everything from anything. And living here in Albany, I haven't really had to hear a lot of that, but I know from many families in the Spanish speaking community who have been targeted. And it's really disheartening to hear that because we live in this community. And so one of the reasons why I am in the HRC, because I do want to make some change and make sure that our community feels safe. And so I just wanna, and by community I mean all of Albany individuals. So for me, I just want to bring, I just want to like to know what can we do when these things come up. Do we need to create some type of task force, some type of like, that way we can have resources available to our families who do come forward to us like, hey, I'm being treated this way. um, or how can we address these concerns? Because I feel like sometimes I don't know what to do. Like, I want to reassure the families that they're not alone, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how to prevent this from happening again. We can't control anybody, but what can we do to bring some type of like comfort to the families? And that's where I'm feeling alone sometimes, and I don't know what to do.
I wonder how other cities approach this. If there's some best practices that exist in cities that are, of our size, of our sort of demographics, that address this through their either their procedures or how they how they communicate with the community that this sort of thing isn't acceptable, sort of thing. I don't know. It's just the first thought that occurs to me.
I'm looking back at our charter, and one of those points is that when making recommendations to city council and the city manager, the HRC addresses concerns and complaints about discrimination through education and available community resources. And so I do think this got forwarded to you, Miriam, from the mayor. And I do think that this is an opportunity for us to go, we understand the purpose of this council or this commission, and there's responsibility of the city council, of which the mayor is a part, right?
Yes.
So I do think that this is a place where we have an opportunity to do this problem solving with city council. It's we can come up with some recommendations and ask to meet with city council on how to actually implement those things. So, does that look like, does that look like the city council actually making a public statement about this? Does it look like, opening, I mean, I guess anyone can submit public comment for city council, but does that look like encouraging these people who are reporting this to and showing up with them to make these public comments?
Is that something we could bring to the work session where we could ask the council to how they would prefer, or how is that something we could ask the council's partnership in with trying to address those types of things, either through the communication or the city budget or the, I wonder if that's an opportunity.
I was thinking also, because I do want to have the community be more like being able to create a way that is accessible. I know they can email us, but sometimes technology, email, everything can get kind of, lost. And I was thinking, is it possible, and maybe Kim or Gina, you can help me with this, to create some type of like contact us, like for instance, create within our website where we're at an HRC, like a file, a concern / complaint, and like, how sometimes are integrated into the website. Like if you click, it takes you to this, like fill in your form. Is it possible to create something like that? Because I know they can email us. And again, I only got that email because it was forwarded to me. And so I want to make sure that what we have for our community to be able to reach to us is accessible to them in more simpler way than going online, trying to find our email, click after click after click. I was thinking let it be here. Because I think we're not hearing a lot of the complaints or a lot of the issues that are happening because of that level of accessibility, or unless they get a hold of us or they know us. And I think this would open up more of the conversation of what really is happening in our community here in Albany. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, Kim?
So yeah, I think that's a great idea. One thing that we could do is the Oregon Department of Justice has a report of bias crime or incident. And on the police's website, they have a way to report that because they collect that information as well. Part of me wonders if there's any way that we could hook up with that system so that way if somebody reports it to us, they don't
do it double.
They don't do it double, and they don't miss the one that goes towards, Department of Justice statistics for funding and addressing issues. So I can look into that a little bit more and see if there's maybe some way that maybe we can put that link on our website as well, or have like some sort of trigger or anything like that if somebody that we can follow up on, or maybe add another thing saying if you would like to be contacted by the Human Relations Commission, please. So yeah, I think that is something we can certainly do.
Yeah, Kim, we talked about that last year, about making that more visible so that if somebody is going to submit a complaint of bias, that it's easy. It's easy to find it, because we don't, like, I just tried and I had to dig through, I had to go through 4 different links to finally get there.
And I think sometimes having it be linked within the police department or with the police, that can also deter some people away from wanting to report. So that's why I was thinking, since we are here, having us be able to be part of that, and that way people don't deteriorate from, oh, it's the police, I don't want nothing to do with it, but then be like, if we could link it, they can report it to us and then have it be sent to them. Then we will eliminate at least some of that fear when it comes to contacting the police. And also, again, me, I would like to have it in multiple languages if possible, please. And thank you.
My business for the commission actually just dovetails right into this. I'll just combine it. In that respect, I was looking to see if, would it make sense, for instance, again, I want to look at best practices and do a little research, but would it make sense to have like on the page for HRC for Albany is, Kim is a staff contact, but it would be also good to have an email box that's like HRC at albany.gov. Albany, Oregon.gov. Would that be a step? Again, it's totally online. Again, maybe something, but maybe that's something that could be distributed out by staff to the appropriate commission member or commission. Also, go to the council. The only other thing I can think of right offhand is like a voicemail box where people can leave a actual voice message for the commission along those lines. Again, just that, and that was something I was thinking as I looked at our page. Also, if we had just an HRC business card to hand out at these events that just says HRC at, what's that?
With a QR code. That way they'll QR code it and be like, boom, there we are.
Yes, and bilingual or more, as well. And then they could take that and somebody could put that, with their collection of cards and report via that box or as well.
Yeah, because I was looking at our HRC website and there's a lot of area in there where there's this lot of space. And I'm like, how can we utilize that white space right there, right? And I was thinking maybe creating it. Wanna give, do you have something that happened in the community? Do you want us to know? Click, fill out the form, your name, description, submit, all of that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, since we have the space here on our page, but also when they submit it, right? Could we, all of the commissioners, also get that email so we know that something got submitted for our knowledge, so we could review it and talk about it when we do meet. I think that gives us, for us to be able to better prepared for the meeting, and that was one of my hopes in forwarding that email, was to talk about and maybe think about things that are happening within our community and what we can do to address these concerns. So those are my questions. I know I'm not going to get all the answers today, but at least I wanted to start that conversation on that, just because I'm afraid that there's a lot more incidents that have happened that we don't know about.
Yeah, and I think, Miriam, one of the things that this is making me think we need to do as a commission is to work with our city councilors on what a bias response toolkit looks like, right? So we want, if we do have something on the HRC site, right, that we're soliciting people to reach out to us for these different incidences, like there's so much that we can do, but what are we offering as resources? And even with, with this particular person that you sent on to us, the person that I mentioned, availing them to the fact that there is a state hotline, right? And that there is data that's being collected. And maybe something we can do is to actually bring in, somebody who's an Albany resident is the person who oversees the Department of Civil Rights here in the state of Oregon. So maybe we can bring her in as a guest to talk a little bit more about how we might think about structuring something that's a helpful resource for folks that also doesn't put all the onus on us to try to
solve it.
To solve this,
Yes.
which is a much larger problem than this commission can handle.
Yes. I love that, Allison. Really, I really do, because I feel like if we also had that tool in our belts, also, if we get an email, we can be like, hey, at first I acknowledge that I hear them, I see them, but then it's like, here are some resources for you to. So if we could gather all of that and have that like saved in our email somewhere where we can be like, hey, this is all the resources, copy and paste it, right? So you have access to this, because I didn't know about that tip hotline, to be honest with you. I didn't know about that, or that the state is collecting this information. So that's news for me right now, which is wonderful because I didn't know. And so I think having that information and that knowledge and then forwarding it to those that do contact us, I think it would also give them that sense of empowerment that they are also able to do something, but we are also there to facilitate it as well, to address it to the individuals who need to hear it. So I think that would be really great to have, is like sending an email to us. Save this on your email so you can save it, copy it, and paste it. So when you do get emails, if the public does contact you, I think that would be very helpful for us.
Yeah,
Because you
and
said
just
there's a lot of pressure.
having a link to a PDF document that
Mhm.
actually like pulls together. There are so many community resources who are better equipped to be able to handle these things. But at the very front of that, letting people know that there's a bias hotline for the state, and that it is really critical that people report these things, because it does affect funding, and it does affect kind of the community livability surveys, right? Which the city wants to know that those are going, that there's a positive experience people are having. So I do think I don't, if we want to kind of pull together a subgroup who's going to do maybe some outreach to some of those communities or the community resources, I'm happy to talk to see if we can bring in a guest speaker to talk about the bias response hotline that the state runs, so that we are better equipped with that knowledge to understand what that hotline is actually doing. Sound good?
Yeah, I think that I really like the idea of putting together a resource list, because that was going to be my question is, okay, what if somebody does reach out to us? What actual help can we provide? So I think that that's number one. And I would be more than happy to participate in that subgroup to help try to compile some of those resources.
Awesome. Does anyone want to join Alyssa in that effort?
Could I be a standby in case someone can't make it? It's just with my schedule and my kids and everything. I don't want to chew off too much than what I can do, and then
Mhm.
I'm gonna feel burnout. But if anybody else can't, please, I'll be happy. But I'd be like,
Also,
can
I'm
we
more than
extend that?
happy if any of you want to bring your kids along wherever we meet. Not a problem at all. I have been a nanny for like
Oh,
15 years, so I like kids. So feel free to bring them. I want everybody to be able to participate as much as they want to.
oh, thank you.
Alyssa, I'm
Mhm.
happy to join you in this effort to
Perfect.
kind of collate some of these resources.
Yeah, and could we
Awesome.
each just in the next couple of days do a couple of Google searches ourselves and maybe just email them to Alyssa and go, here, a couple of things I found when I just looked, because it'll take 5 minutes and we don't have to go, oh, I'm gonna get to a particular spot. I may think of something that Jamie might not think of, and Miriam might think of something that I wouldn't get. And that
Yeah.
way it's a quick,
It's a
we'll
collaboration.
send you some thoughts.
That would be
Yeah, that's
absolutely perfect. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think one thing that would be important is as we pull something together on our site to explicitly define bias, so that that's very clear to folks.
Great point.
Any other business from members?
Um, it started as a personal thing. My husband and I are working towards building a house. And one of the things that we had talked about was putting an ADU on our property. Um, but looking into it, it is so expensive just to get through the fees and the plan approval. Um, and I was wondering if there's anything that the city could do to make that easier and maybe more cost effective. I know I was just did a quick Google search. California had put a law in effect that every uh, local government has to have a set of ADU plans that are already approved. And I know Eugene has that. Bend has at least one that they've done. And uh, so something like that, where like these are pre-approved plans where you can just pick one off the list. But then the fees are, I mean, the fees from the city for permits and things like that cost as much to build, a 3,000 square foot home as a 300 square foot home. And that just seems, ridiculous to me. So if there was anything that could be done in regards to that, we've moved towards making these more accessible for the community, but really they're not, because the cost effectiveness is so, or the cost burden, I guess, is so high that even though, we could put a 500 square foot ADU on our property where we live now, we can't afford to do it because it's crazy expensive. And it's not just the cost of the building.
Sort of is it a planning commission? Kim, would you call that the planning commission sort of work? Is that right? Um, Community Development Commission, which I am a part of, has something to do with that, because we're trying to look for ways to increase the amount of availability of housing, and so I'll bring that concern as a concern from the public to the next Community Development Commission meeting as well.
I feel inclined to say that if this is something that the HRC is going to have any involvement in, we have to ask, like, what is it about the equity part of this, right? Because it is expensive. Is it with the aim of trying to increase affordable housing? I think that we have to think about what the angle is there. If it's to try to say, how do we mitigate some of these fees with the intention of this providing affordable housing for somebody, and what does affordable housing mean, right? Because I think it can be really easy for that to be abused by people who don't necessarily need a reduction of fees, or where it's not actually helping to address some of the injustices that are happening within the city.
There's also state legislature has been taking a look at what the impact of system development charges are on creating more affordable housing. For the last year, they put together a task force, as some of the thought was, are these SDC fee system development charges making it so that it is cost prohibitive? The results of the survey is a little inconclusive. And there's some additional conversations that are going on, but I know our council has asked groups who do collect SDCs to take a look to see if there is any way to make it so that there is an incentive to build smaller. So I know for the Parks and Recreation Department, we hadn't raised fees since 2001. And that was to the detriment, as we have almost zero funds to actually create new parks for these areas that are rapidly growing. So we're having park deserts are going to emerge simply because we weren't collecting enough money to even do anything there. And so when we did it, we took a look at scaling it per essentially per square foot. And it does incentivize building smaller, but will $1,500 be the make or break between, somebody building it or not? So I do know that that's me just speaking from experience on what our department is doing. I could see if this is something that we want to chat about more. I can see if somebody from planning would want to come and present at a future meeting to kind of talk about how fees are set and if there are incentives or how fees are determined, as just an educational opportunity for all of us. If it's something that you're interested in, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to reach out to see if I can get somebody.
I personally would love to hear that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, actually, because I think there's a lot of interest from the affordability housing side of things in those fees and what makes them up. Yeah.
Cool. I'll work on it.
I do have a different question, if I may. I've been hearing from people, and I don't know, I think, Kim, you might be aware of this. A lot of people not being happy with the new City of Albany billing system, the water system. You're laughing, you have heard it. And I'm I'm not saying that I'm one of them too, but I was kind of like looking at my bill, like, hey, what's up? What's this? So, what's the status on making that not be as complicated,
Sure. So
if I may?
what I know, and I will preface this by saying I do not work in public works. So I can give you the broad perspective. Is that the software that had been used very outdated. And so with any transition, you're going to have your hiccups. Unfortunately, in addition to the hiccups that you would expect, the automated payment option was causing a lot of issues. For example, myself, I'm on automatic payment. I did not pay my February bill, did not realize that. So I had to pay twice in March. So they have suspended water cutoffs until it all gets worked out. So nobody is going to, have their utilities cut off. So that is the case. And they are working to get it rectified. I don't believe they have a date, but I know they are working pretty hard on getting it squared away, and that the amazing staff at the utility billing counter have been handling a lot of stress and doing it really well, better than I would even hope that I could. So we do know it's a stressful time, but they are working diligently to get it fixed on the back end. And until then, no water shutoffs are happening.
Okay, that is wonderful news to hear, because some of the people that I did talk to were concerned about that. Because like, oh my gosh, I didn't even get, like, I got the bill that it was late. They were very concerned because this is water we're talking about. And so knowing that, it makes me happy to hear, because then we know that folks are not going to be without water during this transition. So thank you for sharing that. It's just that was one of the concerns, and I'm like, have you heard anything? What's going on? So that's
Yeah,
good to know.
I'm glad you brought that up,
Yes.
Miriam.
Woo.
My husband pays the bills online and
Mhm.
I open the mail. So I was the one who got the notice that we were overdue on our
Yeah.
water payment. And I'm like, hold up, what's going
Yeah.
on? He's like, I don't know, the computer didn't work. I couldn't pay it.
Oh, yeah. So thank you. I hope, and whoever I talk to in the future, that mention this, I'll be like, don't worry, everything's good. They're working through it. So thank you for that information. I just wanted to bring it forward since I did some folks did talk.
And I did notice that there was a flyer with this month's bill that said, so sorry, guys, we've had an oops, and just so you know, and it reiterated all that information that Kim said. I think I got it just the other day, so it may not have made it to everybody else's cycle yet.
Yeah, I try not to check my mail every day. Not like, I'm just saying, just saying.
Any other business from members? How about business from the staff? I motion to adjourn us then.
Ooh, heck yeah, 7:32.
Can I
Thank
get
you
a
all.
second?
Oh.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We will meet next on Tuesday, April 23rd. Robin, I will connect with you because I will be out of the country for that meeting. So
Ooh.
I will look forward to watching the recording, and I'll send some updates to Gina and to Robin so that those can be conveyed in terms of some of the things we talked about today.
All right.
Sounds good.
April
Safe
20
travels.
April 23rd.
April 23rd.
Thank you, everyone, and
Thank
have a
you
beautiful
all.
Have a
evening
good
and have a wonderful
Thanks.
trip,
Have a good
Allison.
night, y'all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.